Just a reminder that you can always reach us via email at lockdownheat@gmail.com or via Twitter using the hashtag AskLHeat. Be sure to please subscribe to the show and leave a review. This is a fun segment here because despite the loss, there was some refreshing news around Heat
Mhm.
Nation. A couple of different bits and pieces here of information. Caleb Martin, first of all, who did miss the game with a sore Achilles and has missed the last few games because of the Achilles, his contract has been fully converted. He is now a full-time member of the Miami Heat for the rest of the regular season, which means that he is playoff eligible. He
Yeah.
will be on this roster for the playoffs and hopefully making an impact at some point soon, because clearly on a night when his defense and his three-point shooting would have been able to provide some kind of a punch out there, he was absolutely necessary. The Heat also added I'm drawing a blank. Haywood Highsmith on his second 10-day contract with the team. He was with the team earlier when they were having their issues with COVID and needed replacement level players. Highsmith was brought on at that point in time. He's brought back again. He actually played 16 minutes against the Dallas Mavericks, finished 2 of 6, almost exclusively taking all of his shots from three-point range, finished with 6 points. So a solid night for him, but I don't think you can expect too much. Is he another developmental star in the making? Who knows? It's possible. It's good that Miami has him on the radar. They've also added Javonte Smart to a 10-day with a two-way contract or a 10-day contract?
A two-way contract, kind of backfilling
Replacing
Caleb Martin's spot.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. So that was announced right after the game ended. But also announced after the game ended was that the Miami Heat was sending one Victor Oladipo down to the Sioux Falls Skyforce to begin 5-on-5 practicing with the Skyforce, not gameplay, 5-on-5 practicing. So they wanted to make sure that we were all very clear about that it's a stipulation that we are putting out there, not gameplay. He's not going to be playing in any games, but it is part of his return to conditioning to eventually make his return to the Miami Heat. Wes, exciting news for all of Heat Nation.
Yeah, and a couple of notes before we get to the Oladipo stuff, which is the headline here. But Javonte Smart, kind of a standout for the Sioux Falls Skyforce team. He's been on a scoring spree in the G League lately. He was obviously with the team's summer league program in Vegas this past summer, so been on the radar for them for a while. And you could tell, like, probably on the short list of guys that they wanted to add to two-way contract, plays the guard position, which now kind of interesting that both of their two-way spots have been given to guards. You don't really see that a whole lot. Miami historically has gone with like more length and versatility at those spots, but apparently they feel like this is the way to go. So cool. That's great for Javonte Smart. Caleb Martin, interesting timing because they could have waited a couple weeks to do this. They didn't necessarily need to do this. And yet they decided to do it now. What does that mean? It means obviously he's playoff eligible, right? But also, again, if they did this a month from now, he would have still been playoff eligible. So that's not really relevant to the timing here. What it means is that it's a show of good faith for Caleb Martin, considering that, by the way, he's dealing with an Achilles situation right now. It's not a tear or anything major. It's just soreness. He wasn't even ruled out. He was questionable for tonight's game before he was ultimately ruled out. But this is a show of good faith. And it's also, hey, look, we know that we could still go out and get a guy on the buyout market and still stand at a luxury tax. So that's a key component here, right? By trading KZ Okpala, they're still able to clear enough space beneath the luxury tax in order to do that, whether it be Goran Dragic or somebody else, we'll see. But it's also just like hey, let's just do you a solid and give you like some more money, because the nature of a prorated minimum, if we would have waited a month from now, you wouldn't have made as much as you would have made right now. And so they're just doing him a solid ahead of obviously him becoming a free agent this summer. So it's a show of good faith. It means that they hold him in very high regard. So that's cool for Caleb Martin. The Victor Oladipo stuff is huge. I really don't want this to get swept under the rug. This is a big deal.
I think it was the one sign of encouragement, I think, for Heat fans too. Like, despite the loss, everybody's already tearing at each other. Heat Twitter civil war, and then the news comes out about.
You think that if they won this game, they don't send Oladipo to the G League?
I don't know. I don't know if it was just a way of calming everybody down and saying, "Look, we've got good news on top of the bad ones."
Look over here. I don't know. Look over here.
Yeah, a little distraction, perhaps.
Wave a little Oladipo in our face, and we're like, "Oh, what loss?" No, this is huge. This is really big. He's only been doing 1-on-1s and 2-on-2s and just some loose scrimmages against Dan, the video coordinator, and whoever else. Like, this is a big deal. 5-on-5 scrimmages, full contact type of stuff. He is, to use the phrase that everybody likes to use when players are in these kinds of situations, this is the ramp up. This is the ramp up. And
we saw with Klay Thompson, right?
We saw with Klay Thompson. To your point, like the Warriors, I remember when Steph Curry was coming back from his broken hand injury, out months and months. And right before he came back, they sent him down to Santa Cruz, where their G League affiliate is, and he played a 5-on-5 scrimmage. This is sort of the last step before. Now, I'm not
Yep.
saying that the return is, hey, like he's coming back as soon as this All-Star break is over, but he could be. Like, I'm not saying that's not the case. Like, this is coming soon. This is coming soon. That's what this news tells me.
Yeah, I think it's just enough. Look, they're not going to practice. They travel to Charlotte on Thursday for their last game before the All Star break. Then there's the extended break. Their next game after that, I am in the process of looking that up. What is it, a San Antonio game? I want to say. Maybe I'm mistaken there. I'm not exactly sure what their next game is. I probably should have looked it up sooner. But the reality is that I would imagine that he'll be getting some extended,
At New
practicing
York,
time
February 25th, and then the
at New
next
York.
home game is the Spurs at home, February
Yeah.
26th.
So
That's the game to circle, right?
that's the game to circle. I
That's
think
11
that's
days from now. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's it. I mean, I'm trying to think in my head is like, do you want to kind of take some of the pressure off because he's probably going to be nervous and rusty, and that's the nature. I mean, we should all kind of pump the brakes a little bit. Well, I'll get excited if he can score a point. I'll get excited if he can play for 10 consistent minutes out there because that's asking a lot after the kind of he returned. He played for most of last season, but he was always up and down. It was a little inconsistent.
Yeah.
He's healthy now. From all reports, he's back to being the player that he was in terms of his leg
Well,
strength.
that's what the players are saying. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I look, you're right. They're taking a patient approach with this as opposed to last year where you're kind of like, what do we have right after the trade deadline? Let's figure it out. So that's good. I think that's good. And as far as the conditioning, that's why you do the 5-on-5 stuff. Now, he's not going to come out and play 30 minutes a night, but I don't know that he was going to do that anyway with the way that this roster is built. Like, I don't know. I think if you can get a solid 15 minutes from him, that's a pretty
Yeah.
big win. That's a really
Absolutely.
big win. Haywood Highsmith played almost 16 minutes tonight. Struess played 20 minutes. Gabe Vincent played almost 30 minutes tonight. Like, there's plenty
Yeah.
of minutes right now to go around. I understand Tyler Hero and some other players are out,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is a good time for him to come back post All-Star break because they're going to have 20 some odd games to kind of figure it out what he can give you in advance of a postseason series.
That's a good point. I think, yeah, you keep kind of stay in shape, keep practicing with the team. The All Star break rolls through, and he can still continue to do work with the team. In Sioux Falls, the Heat will be obviously on there a well deserved and well earned break. They go into the All Star break still atop the Eastern Conference, like I mentioned before. They're still tied with the Chicago Bulls, so there's a good time for him to be able to get some work in. And I don't think the expectations need to be there. I think it's
Mm.
all about making sure that he returns healthy at a time when he's comfortable, because I think we're all expecting him to be an impact player. And I think the team expects him to be an impact player. But I think some of those expectations might be a little too high for a player who's missed a significant amount of time
Yeah.
over the last
Well,
3+ seasons, right?
they don't need him. He's a luxury. The way that we keep
Good point.
talking about him, the way that everybody kind of keeps talking about him is, wow, wouldn't that be nice to have Oladipo back? They don't need Victor Oladipo. They haven't
Right.
this year, at least. This is a luxury. And so for that reason, they've been very patient with his ramp up
Yep. Yeah.
and getting him back. And they haven't been saying like, oh, this isn't like getting him at the trade deadline last year where they're like, look, we're obviously not the team that went to the finals. We need something
Right.
here.
Right.
Hopefully it's Oladipo. It doesn't feel that urgent this time
No, I
around.
agree.
And for that reason, there's not going to be as many expectations, and that's probably a really good situation for him to walk into.
But I'm still excited, though. I'll be honest with you.
I'm
At this
stoked.
point,
Yeah.
yeah, for a player like Victor, a great guy.
Yeah.
I
Always
remember
one of my
talking to
favorite
him.
players before he got
Yeah,
to Miami. I
yeah,
agree.
I love talking to him in
Yep.
Orlando when I was covering that team. He's always been fun, interesting. He's just had a rough up and down career, and the last few years have been very, very difficult. I know he wanted to be out there more than anybody, and the fans have always turned on people who are hurt and not available because they feel betrayed. And I know he kind of forced his way out of Indiana to some degree, but all that's water under the bridge right now. He's just
Yeah.
a guy trying to make good and trying to reestablish his life as an NBA player. So we should all be rooting for him. Hopefully, we'll be able to see him soon out on the floor because I think that's going to be great. But whenever Victor Oladipo makes his return, we'll be sure to bring it to you here on Locked On Heat. Thanks so much for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Remember that every episode is always free and available wherever you get the show. So make sure you subscribe to get the best coverage available. Make sure to also check out Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. This is David Ramil signing off for now. Thanks so much for joining me, Wes.
Wrap it up, B.